This program contains graphic violence. Viewer discretion is advised.
July 2014. The start of summer brings more than just warm nights. It's the beginning of a reign of terror by a killer looking to copy her favorite movie icon.
Elena is labeled Chucky's bride, which makes sense because she's obsessed with the movie Bride of Chucky.
Bride of Chucky is the fourth film in the Child's Play horror franchise, and it's every bit as bloody as the first three.
When I think of Bride of Chucky, I think of a reinvention of a horror franchise. The beginning of the adventures of Chucky and Tiffany.
In the movie, Chucky is reunited with his ex-lover, Tiffany.
They had an on and off again relationship, and aside from being romantically involved, they would also murder people together.
Off-screen, Elena is drawn to the dark love affair between Tiffany and Chucky.
Elena fantasized about being Tiffany and fantasized about being the bride of Chucky.
She starts dressing like Tiffany. She's acting like Tiffany. She's even found somebody that she thinks could be her Chucky.
Together, this murderous pair scours the city, stalking their prey.
For someone like Elena, a true Bride of Chucky fan, killing like Tiffany in the movie, that's a dream come true.
Elena thinks she's learned everything she needs to know about murder from Bride of Chucky.
But she's about to learn that not every couple that kills together lives happily ever after, and not every victim goes down without a fight.
Elena Lova isn't your normal 26-year-old woman.
There's a dark side to her, there's a quiet, it's deep. And I think that when you met her, you could sense it. You weren't quite sure what it was, but there's something really wrong there.
She's known in some circles as Chucky's bride, an homage to her favorite movie.
She's loved the movie since she first saw it when she was in the 6th grade.
Part murder, part romance, Bride of Chucky is the inspiration behind Elena's twisted ways.
Bride of Chucky was everything to Elena. I mean, she really identified with it and she loved watching it. It's very cold and cruel. The movie definitely played a huge part in who Elena became.
The movie helps inspire Elena to commit unspeakable copycat killings.
Elena really liked the way it felt to take someone's life. The feel of a knife going through someone's flesh and bones, or the way a hammer could shatter somebody's skull. That was a real turn-on for her.
Killing gives Elena pleasure. And killing in the most gruesome way possible.
How did a doll lead to the deaths of 15 innocent people? Some people have it all in life, but Elena isn't one of them.
Elena's mom had a drinking problem. I think when your mom's an alcoholic and she's spending a lot of time drunk, you're really not paying attention to your kids. So I think Elena spent a lot of time being ignored.
When we think of women, we think of them as our caregivers. We think of them as a nurturing part of our society. Mothers are the ones that give birth to our children. But when you are rejected and you don't fit in, there is internal anger left untreated.
Elena's father isn't in the picture. As a result, she goes through her adolescent years being raised by her grandmother.
When the grandmother died, there was really nobody left. She lost probably what was the only stable figure in her life.
When she is of age, Elena moves into her own apartment, where her neighbors begin to wonder about the strange girl next door.
Elena was kind of quiet, kind of mysterious. No one really knew what to make of her.
She spoke with a stutter, so I'm sure that impacted, her interactions with people. She's not the, cheerful, bubbly young woman.
The one thing neighbors complained about was her slovenly behavior. She clearly had problems with cleaning and hygiene because the apartment smelled. She didn't clean up after herself.
Elena's inability to connect with anyone leaves her feeling alone and angry. So she turns to the internet, hoping to find others who share in her misery.
When you are rejected and you don't fit in, that rage and anger is externalized to find others who have that same hatred.
So Elena becomes pretty enamored with the internet. And she searches out these ultra-radical groups, these hate groups on the internet.
Elena is searching for people who have been shunned by society just like her.
Elena focused in on hate groups. That was her thing. She had no way to deal with her rejection. And instead of seeing a therapist or talking about it to a professional, she chose to blame everyone else. And so she needed to find groups who agreed with her, people to support her.
Eventually, one group in particular catches Elena's eye.
She becomes immediately ensconced with a tight group of people, and they message back and forth under the name Time for Hate.
They're a bunch of neo-Nazi scum who hate everybody. All they wanted to do was talk about death, killing, murder, and mayhem.
As Elena reads their online rantings, she finds herself drawn deeper into their hateful rhetoric. Eventually, Elena is invited to meet the group in person.
At the time that Elena joined the group, some of the main members were Arthur, Vlad, Max, and Pavel.
They talk a lot about dark things. There's always a time for your first kiss, your first love, your first sexual encounter, and your first murder. They say things like, at any given moment, you can pick up a knife and go out and make the world a better place.
The only way they can feel strong and powerful and tough and worthwhile is by cutting others down.
Elena is drawn to the companionship they show her.
If you're looking for blame and all you can do is hate, you're going to find other people who ultimately will agree with you. No one escapes hatred if that is your sole intent.
For the first time in Elena's life, she feels included. And as she falls deeper in with the hate group's ideology, she even develops a crush on their leader, Pavel.
Pavel is the leader of the group. You have to remember this is someone who is not successful in the real world, but within his domain, within his followers, he's very successful. He's empowered. It's like he's this king.
Pavel is a lot like Elena.
He, again, is someone that lacks empathy, lacks insight, lacks compassion, lacks a sense of what is true about a civilized society. This is just a man who wants to blame all his misfortunes by annihilating a certain group of people. That's a very unhealthy connection, because all it's doing is supporting the hatred. And hatred, although we all have it, can really destroy us internally.
But Pavel isn't Elena's first crush.
To Elena, incredibly, this man Pavel reminds her of her ultimate crush, Chucky the doll. Elena's favorite movie is Bride of Chucky, where Chucky finds a wife, the Chucky the murderous doll. She's been watching it since 6th grade.
In Bride of Chucky, Chucky embarks on a murderous mission to once again become human.
In this movie, Chucky wants to get out of his body yet again. He's been trapped inside the body of this doll for so long. In order to return to a human body, Chucky needs to get his hands on a necklace that's called an amulet. That was buried with his body.
And by his side is Chucky's girlfriend, Tiffany.
The Bride of Chucky is about Chucky's old lover finding him and attempting to bring him back to his physical body. But Chucky ends up killing her, and she becomes a doll who fashions herself to look as she did in real life. And it is the beginning of the adventures of Chucky and Tiffany.
Elena wants to be just like Tiffany.
The movie sort of served as a substitute for her own identity. She saw herself in the character Tiffany in the movie. Pavel and Chucky both have murderous schemes. They want people to suffer. That commonality between the two of them might be why Elena was so attracted to Pavel.
You're not going to find a lot of films where females are portrayed like this. Usually, this kind of behavior is characterized by males in film. Males are the predators. Males are the aggressors. And it's usually motivated by sex, followed by rape, molestation, death. But that is the direction that Elena was going. And she couldn't find that anywhere, but she found it in the film Bride of Chucky.
While Pavel discusses the death and destruction he wants to release on society, Elena falls deeper and deeper in love.
Pavel is very much like Chucky. They're both angry men who want to watch the world around them burn.
Elena's obsession has no limits.
Elena gets a tattoo of Chucky on her arm. Elena loves Bride of Chucky so much that she literally has Chucky imprinted on her body.
The more Pavel talks about death, the closer Elena feels to becoming his real-life Tiffany.
Pavel's probably the closest thing to Chucky that Elena can find in real life. And for Elena, that's a dream come true.
Just like Tiffany, Elena will do whatever it takes to win her man's affection.
Elena will do anything for Pavel, especially murder.
We're talking about people that are incredibly inadequate in our society, who then want to be looked at as admirable and superhuman in a society that rejects them. So what better way is to again avenge society by killing them?
Elena Lova has finally found the real-life version of her favorite movie villain, Chucky.
Elena is in love with the movie Bride of Chucky, the fourth movie in the Child's Play franchise.
Bride of Chucky clearly played a role in Elena's skewed brain. That was the character she related to. She related to it very, very strongly. And she proceeded to model herself after that character.
In Bride of Chucky, the murderous doll Chucky is reunited with his one true love, Tiffany.
In Bride of Chucky, before Chucky and Tiffany were dolls, they were a couple. Together, Tiffany and Chucky like to kill people.
Throughout the movie, Tiffany's love for Chucky is unwavering.
Despite how angry they get with one another, Tiffany and Chucky are kind of destined to come back to one another, and now that they're both dolls, they really don't have a choice. You're kind of stuck with one another.
As for Elena, her obsession with the love affair between Chucky and Tiffany leads her straight into the arms of her very own hateful villain, Pavel.
To Elena, Pavel reminds her of the one guy I think that she became attracted to very, very young in life, and that's Chucky.
Pavel is the leader of an ultra-radical group called Time for Hate. His members are disillusioned and angry at how they've been shunned by society.
Sometimes hatred can consume us because we're hurt, or we feel rejected, we feel unloved, or we feel neglected. And then we become consumed with it to the point that it can become delusional.
The group's gatherings are filled with talk about death, murder, and revenge. Throughout it all, Elena hangs on Pavel's every word.
Well, if she identifies so much with the Bride of Chucky, she would want someone like Chucky, someone who is ruthless, someone who is murderous, someone who has no empathy, but someone, for whatever reason, who would protect and love her.
After Elena becomes a member of Time for Hate, she spends every waking second with Pavel.
As Elena and Pavel grow closer, their conversations grow darker and more graphic, more violent. And the more that they reveal about their darkest parts of their personality, the cancer in their souls, the more they become connected.
The couple is enthralled with serial killers.
Both Elena and Pavel are admirers of the chessboard killer, a murderer who wanted to kill 64 people, enough to fill an entire chessboard with kings, queens, rooks, and pawns. For the chessboard killer, killing was like eating a meal. Not only did he enjoy it, he needed to do it in order to survive. That's what he said.
And so she becomes obsessed with and fantasizing about committing murder with Pavel. I don't think it replaced fantasizing about having sex or being intimate with him. I think it was all one to her.
Just like Tiffany and Chucky from Bride of Chucky, Elena and Pavel are an evil pair. And soon, Elena takes her obsession with the movie one step further.
As Elena and Pavel fall deeper into whatever sick embrace they were having, they started to dress more and more like the characters from the movie Bride of Chucky. More goth, more dark, more eyeliner.
In the movie, after Chucky turns Tiffany into a doll, like himself, she gives herself a makeover.
Tiffany becomes leather-clad and paints her nails black, black lipstick, bleach blonde hair, black eyeliner, big gold chain that says Tiffany. She really makes the doll body her own.
Elena also gives herself a Tiffany-style new look.
Time for Hate is trying to intimidate people, and they want their appearance to be menacing. So as time goes on, they become scarier and scarier looking because they want to strike fear in the hearts of people.
So they all started wearing military clothing, military style, military boots, pants, the camouflage, all of that stuff, that very militaristic, aggressive, in-your-face garb.
The gang takes to the streets. Like Chucky, they seem to revel in the shocked stares they receive everywhere they go.
The Time for Hate group looks like a bunch of people that you wouldn't want to mess with. They're scary on the outside, kind of like Chucky with all his scars and battle damage in the movies.
I think the whole look was, oh my God, those people scare me, and oh my God, I'm gonna stay away from them. And I think that's everything for this group. They were finally getting some power, and the more they got, the more they wanted.
But Pavel isn't satisfied with a few shocked stares. He wants those around him to fear for their lives.
So there comes a point when Pavel begins noticing a group of homeless people that are camped out and living by the station where he and his group hang out. He's not into drinking and drugs, and he looks at these homeless people, and a lot of them are drunks.
Pavel likes to talk about getting even, killing, getting rid of the homeless population, getting rid of alcoholics, wanting to cleanse society.
He's got that whole purity thing going, and he looks at these homeless people, and a lot of them are drunks. I think it's just a big old excuse. I think Pavel saw this as a very vulnerable group, an easy prey.
Pavel orchestrates a bloody crusade that will terrify the entire city.
Pavel suggests cleaning up the city by murdering every drunk, every vagrant, every homeless person that the Time for Hate group can find. They think that killing the homeless people and getting them off the streets will make life better for everyone. These scumbags, who offer no redeeming value to society, are actually signing themselves up to help beautify the city.
What's more, Time for Hate decides they'll take photos and videos of their victims in order to admire them later. Elena is on board with Pavel's plan.
Elena's absolutely excited about killing. She's finally gonna get the opportunity to live out her, Chucky, Tiffany fantasy by killing right alongside some guy that is a kindred spirit, the love of her life.
In Bride of Chucky, Tiffany and Chucky murder innocent people in order to become human again.
Tiffany and Chucky would do just about anything to return to a human form. Tiffany reads from a voodoo book about how she and Chucky can get out of their doll bodies and back into human ones.
Off-screen, Elena is following in Tiffany's footsteps. She too consults a manual on how to commit murder.
There's a how-to guide on killing people online, and that's what Elena downloads.
On the night of Elena's first murder, she can barely control her excitement.
Elena is thrilled that she's finally going to get a chance to murder someone. But she thinks it's going to be just as easy as when Chucky and Tiffany kill people in the movies. It's second nature to those dolls, and she wants to be second nature to her.
She'll do whatever it takes to kill beside the man she loves, just like in Bride of Chucky.
She's not about to let this slip through her fingers. I think she was prepared to do just about anything to make this fantasy come true.
Help, please!
The movies were not an escape for Elena.
I can't get up. Please help!
The movies were a blueprint of how she wanted to lead her life in reality.
You all right? Yes.
Elena and her evil gang, Time for Hate, are preparing to clean up their city by committing murder. Their taste for blood is similar to Chucky and Tiffany's penchant for murder in the cult classic Bride of Chucky.
Tiffany and Chucky are incredibly violent. I feel like the more blood, the better. And they really seem to enjoy being in the midst of the murder.
Time for Hate is going to go out and kill all the homeless drunks in their city. They've decided that these people have no place in society, that they're a blight on society, and they need to die.
They think that killing the homeless people and getting them off the streets will make life better for everyone, and suddenly they're civic-minded. There's the obvious thing, too, that you kill homeless people, they won't be missed, and there's less of a chance you'll be caught.
The leader of Time for Hate, a man by the name of Pavel, is coordinating the attack.
Elena is in love with Pavel. He came up with this idea. He got them on board with his idea that we've got to kill these people, and she's fascinated with him.
Elena views her relationship with Pavel like the real-life version of Tiffany and Chucky in the horror film Bride of Chucky.
Chucky and Tiffany love murdering people. If the life had totally left someone's body, they would just celebrate in that moment for as long as they possibly could. Tiffany is turned on by murder, and that, I believe, is why she thinks Chucky is her one true love.
Elena and Pavel are about to murder together for the first time, like the on-screen killers.
Elena's been waiting for this her whole life. She now gets the chance to actually be the Bride of Chucky. To make her fantasies come true.
Anyone in the park that fated night is in danger as Time for Hate searches for their first victim. They are looking for homeless people to attack, but they find a local banker named Sergey instead. The group assumes Sergey is a vagrant, but they are mistaken.
Sergey was a working man. He was a good guy, and he happened to be in the wrong place at the wrong time.
Sergey is walking home after a long day at work.
He had a hard day at work. He met a friend out for a few drinks, and then he was going back home. And to Elena and Pavel, this guy, Sergey, walking down the street after having a couple beers, looked like just another drunk. He was their target.
As Sergey walks through the park, he has no idea he's being stalked.
He probably looked like an easy target. Their goal is to kill drunks walking through the park late at night. And there's Sergey, so they go in for the kill.
The trap is set.
Please! Help! Get up, please help!
What happened? You all right?
Yes.
They were beyond control, and they fell on him and just began stabbing and hitting and hammering at this poor guy.
For Elena, it's a movie fantasy come to life. How many people does Tiffany kill in the movie? A lot. Elena is getting ready to experience life as Tiffany by killing someone.
In Bride of Chucky, Tiffany helps her boyfriend Chucky kill anyone that tries to stop them from becoming human again.
The killing is not all fun and games. The goal is ultimately for them to return to their human form.
In the movie, their murders are gory and over the top.
At one point, we see them use an airbag to send several sharp nails through a cop's face. They also break a ceiling mirror and it falls on a couple, and it's a very bloody scene. The more violence, the better.
Elena is obsessed with watching Tiffany and Chucky kill in Bride of Chucky. And now she's feeling the thrill of murder for herself.
She enjoyed the blood. She enjoyed seeing a person die. She enjoyed seeing the moaning. And she enjoyed the fact that she was contributing to this individual's death. That for once, she now had power over life and death. And that was very empowering to her.
By the time his brutal attack is over, Sergey is stabbed more than 100 times.
It's not even like they get done and they run. They're not scared. They sit around and admire their handiwork. I mean, they want to really savor this moment because this means everything to them.
After killing Sergey, the group doesn't run away. They stay there. They take pictures. They want to document their first kill.
Over the next few months, Elena and the gang brutally mutilate several more citizens.
Sergey's death is only the beginning. Once they've killed the first time, they kill a second, a third, and a fourth. They kill multiple people in the span of a few months.
One guy was hit so hard in the head with a hammer that brain matter splattered 16 feet away. There's a lot of hate behind this. There's a lot of anger.
Each and every murder is just as brutal than Sergey's, if not more so. There are hundreds of stab wounds, hammer blows to the head. It's gory, it's disgusting. It's just like the Child's Play movies.
After each murder, the group takes pictures of their victims, mementos they savor from each crime scene.
The group celebrates every time they have a fresh kill. And why not? They're getting away with murder every single time.
At home, Elena uploads and stores the photos they take of their victims to her own personal computer.
Elena actually sorts the photographs of her victims in 2 folders on her computer. One was labeled tenderness, the other necessary.
She wants to remember these murders, not just in a calculated way. She actually starts feeling sexual pleasure from looking at them, just as she probably did while she was actually committing the murders. It's her way of reliving the sexual gratification she got while she was committing the murders.
Elena also keeps track of her victims in a notebook she keeps near her computer.
She keeps track of them, and in a really horrific way, she writes down the number of times each victim was stabbed.
In Bride of Chucky, Tiffany is aroused by anything to do with the macabre.
Tiffany is turned on by murder, and that, I believe, is why she thinks Chucky is her one true love. Chucky, like Tiffany, loves to kill, and killing with Chucky is Tiffany's main passion in life.
Likewise, Elena can't get enough of murdering people alongside her lover Pavel.
It's that empowerment that comes from frightening people. They feel empowered. They're the ones now in control. They're the ones who can kill. They're the ones that have control over life and death.
But although Elena has gotten away with murder so far, she's about to meet her match.
Just like in The Bride of Chucky, Tiffany and Chucky always seem to be one step ahead of everyone. But just when you think that they've got everything going their way, there's always a twist. When you're faced with the real life Chucky and Tiffany, you don't just give up. You fight for your life.
Elena and her gang, Time for Hate, are on a bloody mission to kill as many homeless people as they can.
They think they need to be eradicated. They want them gone forever.
The movie Bride of Chucky is fueling Elena and her boyfriend Pavel's thirst for blood.
In The Bride of Chucky, Chucky and Tiffany will murder anyone that gets in their way, and Elena and Pavel were just like that.
Time for Hate is going from hate group to city beautification project. They think that murdering the homeless people and getting them off the streets will really improve life for everybody that lives there.
But even though the homeless community is the original target, when it comes to murder, Time for Hate doesn't discriminate.
They're actually not even killing that many homeless people. They're killing working people, they're killing parents, they're killing innocent bystanders. They're doing everything but what they said they wanted to do.
Elena has always been obsessed with the movie Bride of Chucky. And now, she feels as if she and her lover Pavel are just as evil as the movie's murderous couple, Chucky and Tiffany.
Chucky, like Tiffany, loves to kill, and killing with Chucky is Tiffany's main passion in life.
Likewise, the more people Elena and her crew stab to death, the stronger she craves the act of murder.
So this gang is like a well-oiled killing machine. I mean, they've really come together. They've perfected their act. They are killing. They are doing it in a brutal way. They're not just putting them to death. They're absolutely destroying their bodies.
As the body count grows, a wave of fear spreads throughout the community.
Time for Hate actually succeeds in creating a reign of terror in this town. People are afraid. They don't want to go outside. They don't want to walk home alone at night. They think they might be the next victim.
The gang hits the streets often, hunting for prey. And soon, their next target is in sight. His name is Proher. He's an immigrant street cleaner heading home from work.
Proher is alone. He's walking on this dark, deserted street. He's the perfect target for Time to Hate.
When the group sees Proher and decides he's their next victim, Elena goes up and distracts him, calls attention to herself.
And that's when Elena channels her inner Tiffany.
Proher doesn't know what's coming to him. Until he feels the knife stick into his back. Then the entire gang starts stabbing him. And it becomes a savage, brutal beating.
Although Proher is caught off guard and outnumbered, he's determined to live.
Proher is stabbed over and over again. All he can think about, his last ounce of strength, goes to the idea of breaking free, getting out of this.
Must have been horrific. You're being stabbed from all possible angles. You're hearing people laugh. The reason is to bring them pleasure and enjoyment. It's as if this is a sport for these individuals, and your life is meaningless.
It's a nightmare. that Proher can't wake up from.
Proher is fighting for his life, but just as it seems death is inevitable, Proher sees a way out.
In this melee, Proher is able to get his hands on a screwdriver, and that becomes the only way that he can defend himself. It's his only chance at life.
He reaches for that screwdriver, and once he feels that in the palm of his hand, he feels like he has a fighting chance to survive this crazed group of killers. Proher is able to use it to put a little distance between himself and this group.
Caught off guard, the gang is surprised by Proher's will to live.
Time for Hate has been preying on the defenseless, has been preying on the weak. When they actually have someone who's able to defend himself, like Proher, the gang doesn't know what to do.
Proher uses this to his advantage. He is able to break free and run for his life.
He knows if they catch up to him, he's never gonna survive. So he just runs as fast as he can.
Proher races toward home, but he's in dire need of medical attention.
He's able to keep running and he's not about to stop. And he's the only guy that ever managed to escape from this group.
Elena and her gang have pulled off the perfect crime spree. But will it continue?
There are some people in the Chucky movies that die horribly, but there are some really resilient characters that put up one hell of a fight. Proher's the latter. If Proher makes it home, he can get help and he can survive. That's all it is right now. Proher is going to get home or he's going to die trying.
Elena and her lover Pavel have managed to murder multiple people in their community without getting caught, just like Tiffany and Chucky in the movie Bride of Chucky.
Tiffany and Chucky's violent nature is, I think, one, rooted in the Bonnie and Clyde lifestyle, except those guys were bank robbers, and Tiffany and Chucky, their main thing is killing people.
Elena said it was a sexual experience. She would stab her victims multiple times, as if they were having sexual intercourse. That's what she said, and that could have been to shock or to stun society.
But when one victim is able to escape, the Time for Hate gang encounters a problem they have never dealt with before.
When a street cleaner named Proher is attacked on his way home from work one night, he is able to do what none of the other victims have been able to do. He manages to get his hands on a weapon, he uses it against the group, and he manages to break free.
It's just this poor man against the game. This poor man who just was in the wrong place at the wrong time.
In Elena's favorite movie, Bride of Chucky, just when Chucky and Tiffany are about to shed their doll exteriors for human bodies, they're stopped, dead in their tracks.
The couple that Tiffany and Chucky are riding with did a pretty good job of fighting back against Tiffany and Chucky. Tiffany gets shoved in an oven and almost burned, and Chucky gets thrown out of a moving vehicle. The young couple were lucky to get away, at least for now.
Proher has escaped the gang, but he's bleeding profusely.
Proher's wounds are deep, he's lost a lot of blood. He can't keep up that pace for very long.
It's different than the other murders that Time for Hate has committed because they didn't actually kill him yet. He's gotten away. He's wounded, but he is alive.
Despite his injuries, Proher finds the energy to keep going.
When you're being chased, when you know that your life is dependent on you escaping, it's like you're a wild animal. It's the most primitive feelings that one could ever know. You're intent on surviving, and the will to live is incredible.
Proher makes it home and quickly collapses.
Come on.
Luckily, his son is there and is able to provide care.
Hello? I'd like to report an incident.
Can you imagine a son finding his father with multiple stab wounds, barely alive, based on a thrill kill, based on the fact that people just took pleasure in attempting to kill his father?
Proher is rushed to the hospital.
The stab wounds that Proher suffered are deep. But fortunately, none of them hit any of his vital organs.
Proher makes it through his surgery and is eager to talk with police about the assault on his life.
Once Proher gets out of surgery, he's actually able to describe all of his attackers to the police. And this is a huge break. It's the first chance the police have to break the back of the Time for Hate gang. Proher also tells the police exactly where he was attacked, and that, plus the description, puts police on the trail of Time for Hate.
Police race to the scene of Proher's ambush, where they finally catch a break in the case.
Once they know the exact location of the attack, they go back and they see that there's a security camera that caught this attack on film. And they can clearly see Elena and the rest of the gang going after this guy.
Time for Hate was confident, and then they got sloppy. They committed a murder in view of a camera, and they didn't stun their victim with the hammer like they had before. They jumped right into the stabbing and slashing.
The police release images of Proher's attackers to the public, and it isn't long before they are able to identify the gang of copycat killers. Each member of Time for Hate eventually is arrested.
So the Time for Hate group starts getting rolled up with these arrests, one after the other after the other. And maybe they could have gotten free, maybe they could have kept their mouths shut. But once the police get into Elena's apartment, there's a treasure trove of evidence that incriminates everybody.
They find her computer, and of course they search it.
Once the police grab Elena's computer, they can see that the attack on Proher was not random. It's all part of the series of murders that Time for Hate was perpetrating across the city for months.
On Elena's computer, police discover all the photos and videos she kept of her vicious murders.
As if this evidence isn't incriminating enough, Elena's actually got the notebook that tells how many times each of the victims was stabbed. So it shows that not only were they there at the murder scene, but that she at least had intimate knowledge of how many times victims were stabbed.
Elena and her gang are charged with murder.
Multiple members of the Time for Hate group are found guilty, and most of them are sentenced to about 9.5 years.
Pavel confessed to being involved in 14 of the murders, and Max confessed to being involved in 4 of the murders. Elena confessed to being involved in 7 of the murders. Elena was not an accomplice. Elena was not doing it for her man. Elena was a stone-cold, sociopathic serial killer. She was probably the only one that was keeping mementos. I mean, that is a classic serial killer characteristic, to take these, mementos of the kill home. I mean, she exhibits every single trait of a true serial killer.
In the final scene of Bride of Chucky, just when you think Tiffany is dead, she comes back to life and gives birth to Chucky's spawn.
Like with all of the Child's Play films, despite the fact that we see the characters die, we know that there will be more and that they'll be back somehow to continue on their murderous rampage.
As for Elena, the real-life Chucky's bride isn't so lucky. Not only is her brief relationship with Pavel over, but she receives 13 years in prison for her part in the murders.
She's always dreamed of being just like Tiffany in Bride of Chucky, but now she's locked behind bars. And there's no Chucky and no spawn of Chucky to keep her legacy going.
No, I don't think they ever thought they'd get caught. I think they thought they were invincible. They were very strategic. They had strategized attacking a group that they felt the police would not protect. But they screwed up.